set up.
Let's talk about you cutting him.
Yeah, let's go. So the day that, we were doing it, we meet in Vrabes' office and we come in and we're just chatting and just talking, literally having a conversation that kind of goes into. Oh, I got to come closer. Yeah. Pause.
No Diddy.
Don't be scared. Yeah, no Diddy.
And so we're just sitting there having a conversation, and I can't even remember what the topic of the conversation was. And then just him. Okay, so you're releasing me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Transition, no segue, no nothing. Just, all right, so you're releasing me. And then I'm like, yeah. I think he kind of knew it was coming, and that's how the conversation
This is when you
went.
got back after Mexico, right?
Yeah, because I was in Cabo and Vrabel, shout out Vrabes in this because a lot of guys don't get to choose when they get released.
Right.
Vrabe called me because we all knew, like, the minute I had to get my knee done again, two out of 3 years, like, you're getting canned, brother. You're not going to be making that kind of money and not playing on the field. So he calls me and he's like, hey, we obviously have to release you. You let us know when the best time for you is. And I was like, all right, these dates work. And he's like, can you do it before the combine? I was like, yeah, absolutely. These days now work.
Yeah.
So when I went in, I kind of came in. We all knew. And Vrabe and I are sitting there talking about Jen and their skiing. And it's kind of cool. It's like a last meal before essentially a gun gets put to your head.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, you sit down. We haven't really talked at all. Other than the last thing I said. And in my head, I was like, we just got to get this going. Because I know it's kind of awkward for everybody. Yeah. You're new. Yeah. Like, you and I hardly know each other. Vrabel and I have been together for 5 years. We all understand what's about to happen here. So it's like...
I'll say this. The tough part for me, obviously, coming into this role, this new role, and being from afar and, having respect for this team and having respect for certain guys, like having to release you and like, dang, like I remember this dude coming out of Michigan. I had him rated high, liked him coming out and watching him become a Pro Bowl player. And even guys like Robert Woods, I've missed him at every one of my stops. So I was at the Rams when we signed him and then leave a month later. So never got to see him on the field. I even have Robert Woods in my GM presentation about players that I've been a part of acquiring, different Pro Bowl caliber players, but I always have him in there as an example of a person that's going to come in and change the culture, of the building. And then I get here and have to release him, and so I finally met Robert Woods when we played at Houston last year and just kind of walked up to him like, hey man, like, ton of respect for you. I meant everything I told you on the phone when we talked that day. Like, have nothing but respect for you. It's just part of the way this thing works.
Is it hard? Like, yeah, I know it's hard, but you come in, it's like he's highly graded. You know who he is. He's had his career. And on that last year, it's like it's the get back year. Like it's like you got to put everything on, and then that first play or second play of Buffalo happens.
Yeah.
And in your mind as a GM, are you basically, was it fairly simple at that point? Like, hey, this is going to be a guy we're going to have to release due to money and everything else?
Yeah, the strategy of it is simple. Yeah. But, and I think you and I share this in being undrafted guys. And I don't know about you, but I've been cut a multitude of ways.
Yeah.
Some good, some inhumane.
What's the worst way you've been cut?
I won't say the team. It's two. One, I knew I was getting cut. Right, you had the big cut down coming. I think it'll be pretty easy to figure it out. But
I was going to say, how many
you was on one team you had 3 years.
Yeah.
So we're playing a preseason game. We're playing in a place where my wife and my daughter are living. And so when I come on the team flight, I bring all my stuff home. And so I go to the team after the game. I barely play. I doesn't get any practice reps. So I say, hey, I know what's coming tomorrow. Can I just stay? Like, we can do the cut right now. I'll sign whatever you need to sign. I'm healthy. There's nothing wrong with me. It's just more convenient for me to just leave with my wife and my daughter and go home. I live 15 minutes from here. Oh, we don't know what we're doing. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, I was like, because if I go back, I'm only bringing what I have on my body and my wallet. I'm not taking anything back.
And players are in tune with like what you're saying.
100%. Yeah. And so man, we don't know. So fly back. First person they call the next morning is me. And I'm like, So I go in the building. I already knew that there was like an 11:05 flight leaving. So I was like, hey, look, can you just book me on the 11:05? Like, no harm, no foul. Like, I don't need to meet with anybody. Like, I'm good. I just want to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, you need to meet. No, I don't. Like,
meet each coach.
Yeah. And I get the reason why you do that, but at that point, I was like,
for sure.
And then the other one, my wife and my daughter are actually getting ready to move back home to Miami, and we're doing a going away deal at my daughter's school. I'm passing cupcakes out to the kids on a Tuesday, and get the call in the middle of passing cupcakes out, and I look at the phone and I look at her, and she's like,
Oh,
No.
because we went through it. So I say all that to say, like, when it's time to cut people, like, you try to do it the most tactful and most professional and humane way, just because I've been through it. And, you try to be honest. You try to be upfront. And, I've had it to where there have been guys that, I didn't particularly see as NFL players. So you try to have that conversation. Doesn't always go well, but you try to, because I see it a lot. These guys, you don't know what to tell these guys. So sometimes it's, hey man, you're going to play a long time in this league. This is just something we got to do. And now
other teams, it's a numbers game.
And now this guy's still training, looking for opportunity 3, 4 years, 5 years. When if you were honest and said, hey, look, man, like, this game is probably not for you at this level. You got a college degree, you might want to start exploring these things, or, having that conversation, at least get that in their mind. Like, I knew personally, I said, if I got to the point where my number of teams outweighed my years of service, it's time to do something different.
Yeah.
And I got there quick. 5 teams in 3 years. It's time to go.
5 teams in 3 years. When you're
Who's that?
Jelly.
Might as well answer.
Answer it. Put it on.
What's up, Bubba? I got you on the bus.
What
right
up,
now with
Bubba?
Will and Rand.
Jelly roll.
What's up, Bubba? How can I help you?
No, fuck, dude. I didn't think you'd be busting this hard this week, man. Goddamn, it's like your fifth pie this week.
We're getting after it, brother.
Yeah.
We got to bank these things. Getting ready for June.
We need you.
All right, cool. I love y'all, then. I just want to tell y'all. So I'll be on TV tonight at the award show. If you want to watch me, I'll be on Prime.
On Prime?
Yeah, I love
Bro,
Jelly.
you really are having that contract year right now. It's going nuts. I'm so happy for you. I'll call you after this, all right?
Love y'all, Bubba.
Love you too. See ya. We were just talking about him.
Jelly's the man, dude.
But when you're cutting guys, do you find it harder to cut rookies or cut vets?
It's probably hard to cut vets.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they see it coming, sometimes they don't. So that's the hard part. And vets, you generally have a longer conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Especially, guys like yourself who's astute and you want to know the why. Why? Hey, look, I thought I was playing better than, this guy and this guy. So you have to have those conversations. Most of the times with the rookies, the hard part with them is you see the emotion. You know what I mean? Because you got to think about it. Most of these dudes, this is the first time they've ever been told they weren't good enough.
Right.
And so you're the first person to ever tell them that, and you have to have that conversation. And you live through the emotion with them. And so, I'm not that brutal of a human. You see the emotion of another man, it kind of gets to you a little bit. But then it becomes one of those things. Like I say, if I ever get to the point where it doesn't affect me, to cut somebody, it's probably time for me to look for something else to do.
Yeah.
What's been your stickiest situation cutting a player? Or maybe you're fumbling over your words like, oh shit, this is not going like I thought it would.
No, I've had a situation where you try to have that real conversation with a player, like, hey man, like, it's probably time to transition, and look for something else to do. I don't know what you're interested in. By all means, like, let us help you, connect you with the player engagement guy. We can help you figure this out. And what are you saying? I'm like, well, I don't think that you're an NFL player. You know what I mean? And you try to have that conversation, and then it gets a little hostile. You kind of feel that heat. And I mean, I'm not losing at home. Like, if you're in my office, one of us is coming out. It's going to always be me.
Yeah.
I don't have the win to sit there and box with you.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. So I have stuff strategically placed. If I need to grab and defend myself,
That is
I
wild.
will.
Have you felt like a tension there? It's
No,
like,
I have, like when I was much younger, I felt the tension,
Yeah.
before, and it's like, oh man, this could be the day,
Yeah.
and it's never got to that point. But then I also have to think about it sometimes. It's like you're essentially firing somebody,
Mhm.
and so if that person wants to be upset and express it, like it's probably best to just deal with it. You know what I mean? And just let that person have the emotion, because it is their right to be upset. You know what I'm saying? So I just most of the times you have to sit back and just like, hey man, like I understand, I got you.
It's so interesting you say it's like it's harder to cut vets, and I get that for like the relationship standpoint. But every vet I've been around that's like above 5 years, they always kind of see the right. You're in the game long enough to realize like, hey, when it's about to happen.
Yeah.
Every single training camp, there is always at least one guy, one rookie, that you can see the ignorance of. They've been in high school, and in high school it's, hey, next year we'll get them. Next year we'll get them. There's never a cut. College, hey, I'm gonna grow and develop, and next year I'll be a starter. That type of thing, and they just think, I'll get them next year if I'm not a starter this year. And then all of a sudden they come in the locker room and they're just bawling their eyes out. I feel like it's got it. For me, it just from the outside watching, it seemed like the rookies always just took it the hardest over the vets.
Yeah, and that's the emotion that you have to deal with. And one of the things I've always encouraged, even when I was just a pro scout, when I was a pro scout, my job was going to get them. So I was the Reaper or whatever they call them, the Turk.
Yeah, the Grim Reaper.
The Grim Reaper.
Yeah, exactly
standing there inside the building.
I was in the locker just
But
pacing.
what I always tried to do was do it in because again, I've been cut every which way. And so especially a vet, I would never follow behind the vet. I would catch the vet one-on-one. Hey, look, you need to come up and see coach. You go see coach, and then I just tell them, because now I have to walk you around through the exit process. And I'm like, hey, look, to help you avoid the questions from your teammates, we're going to go from here. You're going to go to medical, from medical to equipment. And then I'll be loosely by you without anybody suspecting me around. So I would just blend in. You got to go see medical while you're meeting with the trainers. I'm over here joking with this guy, talking to this guy, make eye contact with the trainer like, hey, are we good? And then when they leave, go to the equipment room. I kind of loosely follow behind. So when I was doing it, you would never know that I'm following this dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when I got in a position to have other people do it, I would say, hey, like, give them the respect.
Yeah.
Don't try to walk behind them with the paper and like, no, you need to go. Like, give them the respect. Because the last thing you want is for to walk through that locker room and everybody's like, damn, you got cut? Oh,
there's the Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Everybody.
That's the last
head
thing.
down.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want. So I always try to do it with respect.
Is that like a thing you've acquired over time? Or the first time you knew you were going to have to be the Grim Reaper, you were like, I have to be as respectful as possible?
Well, the first time, I'll never forget the first person I cut. It was the day they're saying I have to get this guy. He decides to do extra.
Is he still playing?
No, he didn't play after that.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's doing extra on the field. It's OTA.
God.
And I'm like waiting, and I'm trying to catch him one-on-one. So he huddles up with a group of vets, and he's walking. I'm on a time limit, right? Because they were like, we need to have him up here by 12:15.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 12:05. And I'm like, and I'm trying to make eye contact with him as he's walking with the vets.
Yeah.
And he's not making eye contact.
You think
with
he
me.
knows?
Of course he knows.
I don't know.
So but it's like in your mind as a player, like, what do you think is going to happen? Like you're going
to sneak away, the
weasel way out. Yeah. You'll just be on the week one roster.
So then I had to like, hey, let me holler at you for a second. And he comes over and like, hey man, like we need to go up and see coach right now. So we go up, we do the whole thing. I still give him the respect or whatever. That weekend, I decide, hey man, I'm gonna go hang out this weekend. Can't make this up. I get to the bar, I go to the bar, I order a drink, I look up, and he's at the corner of the bar. And I was like, nah, cancel that drink. I was like, I'm good. I need to keep him in view. I don't know if he thinks it's me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No shit.
And I ended up being there for like 20 minutes. So I was like, nah, I gotta go.
Gotta get out of here.
And I just remember me and him locking eyes. And I was like, Yeah.
Safety's a priority in this situation.
Yeah.
I feel like a
Make sure you
vet
get out of
would
it.
be harder too, because like rookies, you'll cut them or whatever, they'll probably be more emotional because it is their first time kind of being told no. And not only that, but every rookie, like everybody wants to be the best, and you have the weight of whatever pressure expectation you have on yourself because you've identified as a stud player. It's like now you got to tell your family, what's everybody at home going to think. Man, I feel like a loser. Like there's a lot of that weight. I feel like with vets, you'll have the longer conversations because sometimes it's probably not easy because there could be games going on, right? Like, oh, okay, I haven't been playing, or man, I've been getting more reps than him, or the reason that this didn't work out is because did you ever talk to the coach or this film, that film? I feel like there's a lot of
it's a lot more conversation that goes into it. You know, and like I said, it's just never easy with a vet, especially a guy that's just been with that organization.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think it's a little bit easier conversation for, you know, the quote unquote journeyman that's bounced around. But for a guy that's been with a club 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and then you got to deliver this message, it's like, whoa, like this is all I know. This is, and most times you have to explain to them how the process goes because they've never gone through it. You know what I mean? And so it's like I said, it's a lot further conversation.
That was such a hard, like, I thought I would have to sign something. Because I remember sitting there being like, all right, what do I have to sign? You're like, oh, no, we just have to tell you we're releasing you.
Yeah, tell you we're releasing you, walk you through the process, and, you know.
Because that was my only time ever getting cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe you did that shit to me, man. That was crazy.
Hey, man, I needed to.
Hey, Rand couldn't wait. He
was the first one. Who do you want first? He goes, 77. That one. That's the guy I want to get his ass.
Oh, we need money. Here's how we're going to free it up fairly quickly.
Oh, how much we need? Yeah. We're going to get that guy. No problem. That was wild to me because I thought there has to be like some sort of like signing.
Yeah, it's not too formal, you know, if you will. Is, you know, and for you, you know, you were still rehabbing. So it was one of those things like for a person that's, you know, fully healthy, hey, I'm signing out fully healthy. And then for a player that's rehabbing, it becomes an extended process because now you got to go get images and all these different things. It becomes a much longer process. So that's really the difference in yours and whoever else we did around that time.